Hey y'all, I'm Rylan. Welcome to my channel. We are officially concluding our bookshelf audit series with part 3 today, where I'll be cataloging and counting every single book that I have on my miscellaneous shelves back here. In my first 2 videos for this series, I counted all my thriller, mystery, and horror books, as well as all of my romance books, and I saved my miscellaneous shelves for last. I call this shelf right here behind me my miscellaneous shelf because it is comprised of every other genre that I have that doesn't necessarily fit into the thriller and romance shelves. I've got a bunch of fantasy books, historical fiction, we've got nonfiction, young adult books, and just all these different genres and age groups that fit onto this more miscellaneous shelf. I am feeling very confident about the number of books that I've read on this shelf. I think so many of them I have had for years and years and years. They were childhood favorites or teen favorites, and I still own them today. And I'm excited to go ahead and count and see my total number of books versus what I've read to figure out what is unread on those shelves. As I mentioned in parts 1 and 2 of this series, which I'll have in the description down below if you want to check them out. This is a video series just to help hold me accountable so that at the end of the year I can look back and see if my physical number of books that are read versus unread has increased. One of my goals for 2026 is to increase that current number to about 70% of the books that I own being read, and I'm definitely not there yet, but it does feel doable to me just based off the number of books that I'm able to read each year. So basically all that this series has comprised of is me taking the time to count and figure out the total number of books on each shelf versus what I've read to figure out how many books are unread. So today I'm going to be counting the 7 shelves on this shelf back here, and then I have a couple of book of the month books as well that would fit into more of this miscellaneous category to include in these total numbers as well. This is purely a video to get stats as I build a better spreadsheet to keep track of my physical read versus physical unread books. No grand takeaway at the end of this. I'm just trying to find a way to stay accountable, and then we'll look back on this video and this whole series at the end of the year to figure out what I have read and what I've unread. I also like to make the case that a lot of the books that I read I unhaul if I don't end up loving them. So my shelves do change quite a bit throughout the year just based off what I end up picking up. But the goal is to read books that I love and want to keep and to cultivate a shelf space full of favorites and not full of most of the books not being read. I do love a good book haul and I will always be doing book hauls, but I do also want to make sure that I'm reading the books that I own and then filling my shelves with favorites that I discover. So we're going to go ahead and count all the miscellaneous books behind me. It's not like a perfect match. I do have some like YA mysteries and YA thrillers on this shelf that I could have put in my thriller shelf, but with just spacing and things like that, I decided to put them more in like the young adult category, which made me want to put them onto the miscellaneous shelf. Anyway, my bookshelves are not a perfect science of the genres and the authors being in perfect order, but it works for me, and we're going to go ahead right now and count these shelves behind me.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
The final numbers are in, and I'm actually pretty impressed with myself because for once out of this 3-part series, I have officially read over 50% of the books in one of these categories. After doing my calculations, I have read 55% of the books on the miscellaneous shelf behind me, which includes books in the fantasy, sci-fi, dystopian genres, as well as some nonfiction, young adult, middle grade, basically the entire compilation of everything that's not a thriller, mystery, or horror, usually in the adult genre for this shelf, or like adult romance. Again, not a perfect filing system because I do have some YA mixed into these shelves, but the bulk of my YA books, no matter what genre they're in, are over there, which is great because I've read a lot of the YA books that I have. So out of the 156 books that I have on this shelf behind me, I have read 86 of them, which is 55% of those books in total, and then I only have 70 books that are unread. That feels great for me, if we're being honest. I think in the first part of this series, I was at 30% of the books in the thriller, mystery, or horror genres read, and then in the romance, I was like a little bit over 40%. So my miscellaneous shelf is definitely my most read shelf, which is great, but of course that does not mean that the work stops there. I have been in the process as well of cataloging everything in my library with the title, author, market price, as well as if I've read them or not. So with these numbers as well as that catalog, I'm hoping to keep better track of how many books I have read versus unread on these shelves so that I can confidently say at the end of the year that my number of read books has increased, hopefully by quite a bit. If you know any stats on your unread books, feel free to comment down below and let me know. I definitely feel exposed in this series, but for a great reason because I'm really trying to focus on this physical TBR behind me. That's what I have though for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.